I have two questions, very quick one, to the point, precisely. Will it be allowed?
Of course, sir. Amir sir, please, शुरू करें आप. Hello? Hello? Mhm.
Brother Sahil, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir. Please go on.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. Yes, Brother Sahil, just let me tell you about myself. I'm dealing with the actually public relations field. And I've been here last 21 years, Alhamdulillah. I've got four kids. Uh, it's a 14 years, the elder daughter is. Alhamdulillah, they're going to the Islamic school and academic at the same time. If you ever heard about this Al Khair school, which is in Croydon, uh, founded by Pakistani, the organization, I think. If you ever heard, no, Brother Nazim, he's the founder of Al Khair school. Well, to the
Yeah. Okay, go on, sir.
yeah,
But yeah.
make it short now to this talk. Basically, Alhamdulillah, my all elder children and my family have finished the Sira. Now the main concept what we are talking about here, what I found is the Islamic phobia point of view. Basically, regarding that the specific part I'm talking about from the Usman Ghani Razila Ta'ala anha until the Hazrat Sayyid Razila Ta'ala anha. In that period of the time, there is a lack of information I've got. So I just is a humble request if you could put the lights on that, that period of time, the history, that make lots of doors open for the people who generally are concerned about. And people are talking about like, the rigid part of Islam, the people, think about that part. So I think right information I try to get through so many books, but to be honest, I didn't reach to that right point. Will you please, in one of the session, if you can particularly, not at the time, I know that you're dealing with a lot of people, like in your topics, will you be elaborate this topic at the, so it can give you more information. And Alhamdulillah, I'm dealing with a lot of people here. I've got my small groups, which is connected with the US, Canada, UK, and India. I'm origin from India, basically. So this dawa, this intellectual and identification, the Muslim identification, which I'm going through last more than 1 year. But you are really put the right torch on our path, and I've got a lot of the support and the courage from the way the style you are carrying out. Mashallah, may Allah accept it. So just I will merge my team into the into IMS inshallah soon. I'm just going through with that. Almost in America, 250 people's where I'm dealing now at the moment, Alhamdulillah. So the main concept, what I have concern about at the moment is two things. The basic thing is about the history is lack of history because I can't find the books and I can't find the right information, the justice information, to be honest, regarding that, from Usmani Ghani Razila Ta'ala anha till the Hazrat Usman, sorry, Hassan Razila Ta'ala anha, Karbala. In that period of time, what exactly happening? Because most of the scholars and the books is mentioned is the political issues, and some of them say that no, that is the matter of the Khulfa,
Yeah,
Khalifa, and
I got the
yeah,
question.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And you had two questions. So with the second question, let me just answer the first question first, so that I can get more people in. See, the problem right now is that the way I see things, we should start the history from, uh, um, as relevant to our issues currently as much as we can, and the problems that we all know that started happening right after the death of Umar ibn Khattab, radiallahu anhu, that becomes a lot more, um, well, it's not irrelevant, but it does not really suffice for the problems that Muslims are facing right now. The problems that Muslims are facing right now would be solved through Ali ibn Abi Talib's intellect and wisdom, and the
Indeed.
way he looked at the world. His worldview is exactly what I want the current Muslim youth to shift to. However, there is a problem that Hussein al-Islam solved for all of us, and the way he actually showed courage, and the way he actually manifested the reality of the truths of Islam. And that is something which I keep propagating. Whatever happened because of the problem that Muslims went through in the time of Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu, or after Ali bin Abi Talib, that to me is a secondary issue compared to the bigger problem Muslims are facing right now. Now, I know it's not a small matter, but it is a matter of history. It's not a matter of the present or the future. The present or the future is a problem of a totally different nature. None of these eras actually let that big problem come into the Muslim household, which we have let. I was just discussing with my wife a couple of hours ago about what kind of curriculum is being changed in the schools in Arabia. So we have a totally different kind of problems coming in, and I must tell you that I'm not saying that we should not know our history and we should not know the cause of whatever happened during that time. What I'm saying is this is not the right time, in my opinion. I think this could be a distraction, if anything else. And I don't want to repeat of the same history at the time of whatever, the era that you mentioned, because of the fact that we can, or people can use, people who would want to use that sort of an element and distract us and create silos within our own households, our own ummah. And if these kind of silos can be broken down, I would rather not read history and combine all of these silos and merge all of the Muslims together, be it Shia or Sunni, or be it whatever sect that you guys are from or we are from, and not forget the history, but subside it for now, for the at least 2 generations, so that we can solve that problem later, and problem that our kids are going to face are to be solved right now. And I'm afraid our children are not going to be facing the problem of who was right or who was wrong at the time of the death of Umar ibn Khattab, or the death of Osman bin Affan, or the death of Ali bin Abi Talib, or the death of Hussein al-Islam. It's because our kids are not even going to remember their names if we don't solve the bigger problem right now. Our kids are suffering from a problem where they are going to forget any of these names, let alone who is right or who's wrong. See, so they're made to forget the names of the prophets, and they're made to forget the relationship between them and Allah Azza wa Jal. They don't even recognize the presence and the essence of Islam in their hearts and minds. They don't really care, and they won't care who was right within Islam, or vice versa. So I think this is why I keep evading this sort of discussion of that era. Okay, so but I'm not saying, again, please don't take me wrong, I'm not saying that we should not know our history. We should, so that we cannot repeat the same mistakes. But the problem right now is to understand where the bigger evil is coming in, and how are we being devastated out of our own identity. Even though all of these eras which you were mentioning had big problems, but Muslim identity was not shaken. And we are struggling to recognize, a percentage of Islam in us. Those people, even though they were fighting within Islam, they knew what Islam is or was at that time. Okay, so that's why I kind of go a little, try and be a little more relevant to the problems that our kids are going to face in the future, near future. Okay. So
Inshallah.
this,
Yeah.
yeah, this is why I just, you'll see me talk less about the time right after Umar al-Khattab. I keep mentioning Umar al-Khattab so many times, but I don't really go into detail as to how he died and what happened right after. So let's just go to where was Amir from? England. Okay, let me just go to the other part of the world, Australia. Yes, sir.
Assalamu
Australia.
alaikum, Salbay. Salbay, just two quick ones. Firstly, in IMS, we discussed that we have to make references for all the work that we're putting in. But the questions that we got in task 2, some of them were opinionated, that we had to put in our own input, that what we think are the causes. So, like, obviously, we want to make sure that our captain, they are putting in the right things and references are submitted properly. But what is the go with the questions where opinions are coming from? How do we refer to it? And a lot of things that I have noticed that we learn from is from, different lectures of scholars who are talking about those issues. Like atheism was the question at that time. A lot of references are coming from that. So the proper way of referencing those would be just referring from scholar A, B, C, or heard that in a video. And the other thing I wanted you to elaborate a little bit that I see as a problem is, the concept of sabr and tawakkul that we are lacking as a community as a whole. So if you could elaborate a little bit on that, like what is the Quranic guidance or the psychology of sabr and tawakkul? That should be all. Thank you.
Sabr and tawakkul. You kind of mixed up a lot of concepts here, but you started from atheism and then so maybe I didn't get to hear you.
Atheism was just that was a question regarding just the IMS part, where we have to make references of all the input that we are putting in to our captain, that they summarized everything and submitted to the IMS core team, that this is the input from our team. So how do we refer to something that is our own opinion? Is that okay to refer it to, like I heard a video of that scholar talking about this issue? And the sabr and tawakkul, that's something separately. That's not related to atheism. That's, I'm talking as a general guidance, that what, if you could elaborate a little bit on that so everyone would benefit from it, like for myself as well. Like I'm working on it, how to be more patient and how to have more tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So psychologically, since you're the expert, what's your a bit of guidance on that?
No, keep talking. I want to understand where you.
Okay. For sabr and tawakkul, I mean to say, like, your psychology tour for Australia, a lot of people are getting frustrated that, sorry, can you hear me? I just got a phone call in the middle. Sorry, Sahil bhai, can you hear me? I got a phone call in the middle.
Yeah, I can hear you. So
Okay,
that's why it was cutting. So you'll have to rephrase and shorten it out, and then ask me. Okay.
Okay. What I see as a problem, we don't have any sabr and we don't rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala how we should be. So I just want you to elaborate on a bit, how should we work on ourselves to be more patient, and how to develop, how to have more tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does that clear it up, or still a bit?
Sir. Yeah. No, I got this part. I got all 3 times. Far before that, it's all right. It's okay. You know what? See, now the concept of tawakkul is very simple. Okay, make sure you don't complicate this. The concept of tawakkul is the core tenet of Islam. Okay, if you do not understand how simple this concept is, and if your parents or our parents or ourselves, we actually complicate it for our kids, then they're not going to be able to resurrect their iman at any point in their life, because this world is going to come up with different angles of the same problem and different problems at the same time. Okay, that's how this planet is designed. Now, there is no human being who does not need tawakkul. Okay, there is no human being. Even atheists need tawakkul. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is a problem that we better start solving now. That how to actually link your problem and your traumas and your ordeals and your calamities, whatever and whatnot. It's any and every person's story of their lives that there is not a person who can guarantee that something is not going to happen which is out of his own plan. Now, since we know the design, if there is one pattern in this planet, we know the one thing is going to remain constant. That is that people are going to go through ups and downs. Now, it could be really, bad for some people and could be not so bad for others, but there is no one who's going to be totally and eternally satisfied in this planet. So since this is the design of the planet, you need to understand that if you look at the entirety of the whole, history of human beings till today, until of course we can actually foresee a lot of things in the future, but we cannot possibly deny the fact that there is no human being in the world has ever lived who actually made up a plan and didn't have to change it. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the value of any plan then? See, that's where it comes down to. Why are we planning anything?
Yeah, I know, like even how looking at you and how everything you done, like you started off from somewhere, but you started going in different directions because that's how everyone works. You see more things, you learn about more things, and you kind of, scope it out to wider aspects. You can't just stick to one thing. It's a part of growing in a way. Right? And that's how I look at it.
Well, if you still keep planning based on, like growth is a different concept altogether in Islam. Okay, so you need to understand that if you do not understand this pattern, then you're not growing. And guys of certain age, women and men, realize after their, a certain part of their life is spent on this planet that there is no plan that is ever going to culminate the way, they initiate the plan. And that is where tawakkul settles right there. That when you're actually making any kind of plan, good or marvelous or optimum or, realistically, compromised, doesn't really matter. What matters is that there is going to be an unforeseen event that is going to change because of external or internal events. That is a story of everybody's life. So once we know that this is the one common pattern, a Muslim comes into a settlement, and he actually takes delight out of this after a certain stage. And a non-Muslim is devout of this sort of delight. And there is tawakkul, that, it doesn't really matter whether my plans are going to be successful or I am going to achieve whatever I'm planning right now. What matters is that I know that whatever is coming to me or around me or for me is for my better good, for my own good, and for the from the maker that put me here in the first place. Okay. Now, once you have that kind of psychology, it settles and makes you anxiety free. It makes you, it never lets you panic. It never goes into that kind of a trauma that a non-Muslim or a Muslim with no tawakkul is definitely going to go into. It's just chaos otherwise. And this is a psychology that actually Allah is talking about, through and through in the Quran. And the Seerah is, pregnant with this. It's soaking with this. The whole of Sira is just, if you can take one thing out of Sira, if you have to take one thing out, that would be tawakkul, right? So what is the value of us and all of our plans and all of our imaginations if we know that things are not going to happen the way they're going to happen? So why do we plan? A Muslim plan because he has tawakkul. It doesn't really matter whether I'm going to culminate this plan or I'm going to actually be successful in the end. What matters is I am relying on the power that is the changer of all plans and the maker of all success and the culminator of all the culminations, right? So that is the power, and that's the powerhouse that is the psychology that actually is developed, that is brought up on this sort of psychology, and he never goes into any kind of negativity, toxicity, trauma, anxiety, panic, or any of those reactions that normal human beings keep on giving, like children, even at the age of 80 and 70. And, they just don't get that composure. A Muslim gets the composure from day one. And he settles in this planet so well. And he's got a better psychology. He's got this cruise control button on all the time. And hence he takes the lead. I mean, he's steadier than most people. He knows that, he's playing the big game all of a sudden. As soon as you play tawakkul, you play the big league. You're in the big league. That's it. And no matter where you are, how many people are in your group, you only give leadership to people who have more composure. They don't panic. They are well settled in, the understanding the patterns of how this whole planet behaves around them. And, from households to societies to politics to, statesmanship, you name it. You only put that person in charge who's got a superior psychology, and tawakkul is the only absolute superior psychology. And if you can get that inculcated in your kids, then they're going to have 10, maybe 15, 20 more years under their belt to practice and get more composure in. Because we don't realize this, and we are realizing this in our 30s and late 30s now. We might as well have just, started off when we were 10 or 12. We could have had a decade more of understanding how to compose ourselves and settle properly in this planet.
Yeah, 100%. Inshallah, that's the goal, Sure. To just to instill it in myself and pass it on to the children and for everyone, really. Well, thank you. Thank you. Jazakallah khair.
Let me just stay in Australia for just one more question. Okay, let's go back to England. Northern Ireland.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर।
Assalamu
सर मेरा बहुत पर्सनल क्वेश्चन है, तो
मैं पूछेंगे फिर।
सॉरी सर, फिर मुझे नहीं पता कि मैं आपसे कैसे कांटेक्ट करूं।
ओके, फिर पूछें।
फिर मुझे कोई जज ना करे प्लीज। सर क्वेश्चन मेरा ये है कि यहाँ बहुत सारी खवातीन को भी मेरा ख्याल में मेरे जैसा मसला होगा। आई डोंट नो अबाउट पाकिस्तान, बट इन यूके मोस्टली रिवर्ट खवातीन और जो इस तरह की हैं। सर मसला मेरा ये है कि मैं जो मैरिड लाइफ है मेरी, उसमें मेरे हस्बैंड उनसे हैं, वो मुझे मेरा शरई हक नहीं देते। मीन्स एक टाइम आता है 4-4, 5-5 माह गुजर जाते हैं। सर लिटरली समटाइम्स ऐसा होता है कि अगर हराम ना हो
अच्छा, आपने अपने क्वेश्चन, चूंकि मुझे आपने कॉन्टेक्स्ट बता दिए, you'll have to shrink your question so that you wouldn't have to say so much, because it might just
Sir, if you understand it, then please answer me, because Please.
Well, I'm gonna assume a lot of things here, but you need to really confront your spouse here and talk to him about this. A dialogue is the only option here. Okay. Otherwise, there are three ways of treating this sort of any situation of
Sir,
this
I
sort
feel
between.
so shy about it. I called him
Yeah,
four,
I
five
get it.
times.
So what now?
Yes, sir, I'm done. Please.
No, I didn't get the 4 or 5 times thing. But it's all
Sir,
right.
I mean, I called him on bed 4 or 5 times in, in different
Yeah.
times.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I got it.
Yes.
So what you need is to make sure that there are 3 stages of how to actually treat a spouse or anybody for that matter, but in this case, a spouse. And the first is the positive reinforcement, the negative. Then the second is the negative reinforcement, and then introduce the threat. Introduce the threat. That's it. Otherwise, you can't just keep lingering on and understanding the pattern of behavior of a human being and not do something about it. If you're not going to make a change, then change. Nothing is going to change as an output. You got to change a few inputs right here. So this goes to everybody who's listening about anything. You need to introduce a very visible and assertive change. And if you do not introduce the threat here, and a spouse, either one of them, husband or wife, can introduce the threat, but you got to follow through with the threat. Okay, the stage is actually, I don't want you to just break up a marriage just like this, but understand that there are some marriages that are better broken than
Sir, I have been married since 19 years. Sir, it's been 19 years and I have done everything I could.
Well, it's better late than never, but still, I think you should have done this in the 9th or 10th month of the pattern of a human being. But okay, well, you have 19 years of a lot of experience of a guy, so you might as well just skip a few stages and go straight to the threat now. Okay, but don't follow through.
Sir, what kind of threat? I have daughters. One is 17, one is 16, one is 12 now, and I have 5-year-olds as well.
So then you have already made a decision that no matter what happens, you're not going to do anything about it. Then why cry about it then?
No, sir, that's why I'm here. I just don't want to waste myself. I don't want to die in heaven, in hell. I mean, I don't want to die every day over there. I mean, I don't want to suicide.
No. You don't have to do that. Don't worry. No. Don't say that. See, last boy just asked me about tawakkul, right? So you need to really.
Yes, that's why I encourage myself to answer a question this type of, what kind of tawakkul should I do now? I mean, sometimes I say, तेल फाड़ में गया तवक्कुल, मैं क्या करूं?
Yeah, Aisha, listen. There are certain prayers in the Quran which are going to settle your heart. Okay, for settle your heart. Your mind is naturally not going to settle unless your heart is settled. Not with your husband, with Allah. Okay.
Sir, if you ask me, I am the person. I did 8 years Fazla Karya course.
No. I'm not talking about your knowledge here. Listen, I'm not talking about your knowledge.
Sir,
listen. So, okay, let me just simplify things for you. Some people, most spouses, they actually ensure a very bad marriage by not doing certain things which are required to do. Okay. This is not a child's upbringing. This is a marriage. The difference is that you have to really force certain things into play in a marital situation. In a child's upbringing, you cannot force certain things into play because that's a child. Okay. The difference between making a child change his behavior and making a wife or a husband change behavior is that you need to use different tactics, a lot more force and assertion and assertiveness and some strict measures and follow through with that. Okay. And Girls usually don't follow through with that. Like, let's be honest. Men follow through with a lot of things, which they don't even mean. They still go following up with so many things because, they're socially a little more active and they have a lot more, options which are opening up because they're active. Girls are not active. Otherwise, options are opening up. You're in Northern Ireland, for God's sakes. You're not in Miyawali. Okay. So if you're actually thinking like this, that you're not going to do something about it, then I'm not going to blame your husband. I'm sorry. I'm going to blame you. And do not give me that 19-year-old saga because you're not dead yet. Okay. You're not a tree. You're a human being. You can move. Okay. And 19-year-old, for the last 19 years, your husband did not feed you. Allah did. Okay. Make sure you understand. And that's what tawakkul is. And if today your husband died, you're still going to survive because, your husband is being fed by Allah and you too are being fed by the same creator. So it is not a rocket science concept, Aisha. I understand that you're in pain. I'm not trying to talk to your mind right now. Okay. I'm trying to talk to your heart. Make sure you understand that. People die and their families survive. There is no family that just vanished and poof, right, vanished into thin air because the father died. Nobody. Everybody knows that. Yeah. Remember we just saw those videos of this little infant coming out or little child coming out of those apartment buildings in Turkey. But Allah wants to save, then Allah saves. And Allah does not want you to survive, then you would not have made it for the last 19 years in this marriage. But you are calling this wrath upon your own self if you're not actually taking the right steps. I'm sorry. I'm not. And you know what? I'm talking a little swiftly so that most people won't even get it because I don't want to give girls weird ideas that, just anything wrong happens, just call in the threat. But in your case, I think 20 years is 2 decades. It's worth 2 generations of a time, literally. If you had kids at how old are you now? I'm sorry.
Sorry, sir.
What's your age right now?
Sir, 39.
Yeah. So, you're supposed to take certain steps. You're not an old woman. So I think it's high time you realize that it's not Allah's going to come down and give you revelation anymore. A revelation is already here. You need to take that revelation and take it upstairs and, call for help, which is from Allah. Okay. And do something about it. Make sure you start to take some hard steps. And if he's really serious about this, he's going to have to come and get you. Otherwise, you're in a very hard place already. And if by the sound of your tone and your choice of words, I think you might want to make that call right now. Okay.
Sir, you were talking about the threat. What kind of threat I start with?
Separation. You start with separation. You do not start with a divorce. You start with separation, and then you see how it's going, and then you go with the next step. This is how it works. This is how a sensical adult would want to introduce some sort of threat. Okay, but every situation is different. You might just want to lessen the span of this separation. But unless you introduce a threat, you're not going to be able to confront him properly because he's going to take you for granted. He's going to write you as as not so serious of an issue, because if you were that serious, you would not have lasted for 19 years with the same issue, right? So you might want to put a very hard step so that he can come to the table and you can talk some serious matter and serious steps. If you're not going to change the way you're actually confronting the issue, he's not going to change behaving the way he's behaving. It's very simple. You don't have to be a psychologist to know this, right? So I'm tell you something, okay? This is how a man's psychology works, okay? And it's a public session going live. So I'm just going to be a little careful, but men even women, but men generally are in more of a, they're very exposed to so many situations and people. And when we look at our wives back home, we take them for granted for sure. I mean, it's not, I mean, it is our fault, but I'll tell you something. Most of the time, wives are to be blamed because they actually say they don't really react against most of what we're doing because they don't really follow through with their words, and we think that they don't really mean it, and they're just gonna uh, get over it, and they're just gonna be the same person no matter what I do with her. And most girls do that, actually. I'm sorry. Most girls, whatever their excuses, because that is an excuse, because if they really felt the pain, they would have really, shook the tree. But they don't really shake the tree ever. They just roam around the tree. They yell at the tree. They curse the tree. Actually, they go to other trees and talk bad about this tree. But they don't really shake the tree. And if you don't shake the tree, no fruit's going to fall. Okay. And sometimes I'm just talking about shaking the tree here, Aisha. Sometimes you really need to chop off the tree. I'm sorry. Okay. That's how it is. So if my wife is just roaming around the tree, in this case, and she's just, swearing at me, cursing me, and just saying words, and I'm busy doing work all the time and do a lot of things which are around my work, which hurts my wife. And I always come back home and I got dinner on the table. I got a silent treatment kind of problem. I'll be like, it's all right. It's a 4-hour problem. Next morning I'm going to be at work, so it's all right. I'm going to have happy, smiling women there, or whoever is going to be greeting me. So I'm gonna just write it out till my wife feels better, because I'm gonna buy her a gift or whatever. This is how men play. I'm sorry. This is how women let us play them. I'm sorry. That's how it is. It's just generally a woman's own doing. If she had really stood her ground, we would have really changed our ways. But they don't. And Desi women, they're the easiest to con. They're the easiest to settle. They're the easiest to, they never follow through. And they're the easiest to blackmail. They're the easiest to, manipulate. You know what I'm saying? They're too easy. I'm sorry. Especially in England or Ireland, boys, they're, why do you think English families are looking for Pakistani girls from Wakent and, areas where,
Yes, sir.
Eastern
I'm
girls
getting
are
it.
going to be found. Yeah, because they know Pakistan's ladki aayegi, she's not gonna yell loud enough for the neighbors to call the police. She's not
They
gonna
can
do
mold.
that. No, they're not gonna mold nothing. Make sure you understand. These girls are designed already to, be subdued and literally, be run over, bulldozed. I'm sorry. That's how, we love that about our women. Okay. Because you know what? They just cry and wet their own pillows at best. They never go to courts. They never actually, grab us. And they never, give us the right spanking when we need it, because they think, marriage is the ultimate purpose of life, and they already got this. And if they get a divorce, no man in their own whole family, father, brother, or whoever, they've already disowned her. So these men, they use that to their advantage. Okay. And their sisters are being used by some other men because they are the same men who are not going to own their sisters, right? So you need to understand that. So these blackmailers are roaming around free because of weak women and timid upbringing of our own girls. Okay. I'm not talking about all men here. I'm talking about the men whose wives are suffering. Okay. Make sure you understand that. Okay.
Thank you,
I
sir.
hope.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. By the way, I should say that this goes both ways, but I think it's too late for that. Wasim, assalamu alaikum. Okay, Umar, assalamu alaikum. Marine. Did I say Marine? Yeah, Marine.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
वालेकुम सलाम। मैं कनाडा में हूँ, यहाँ ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, और इंस्टेंट मैसेजिंग सिस्टम का जो ग्रुप है उसका आई एम अ पार्ट ऑफ इट, एंड आई जस्ट वांट टू फाइंड आउट के हाउ डू यू सी इट गोइंग थ्रू इन द फ्यूचर, कि आप कैसे देखते हैं कि हम जो मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी है, हाउ डू वी लिंक अप एंड कन्विंस पीपल टू join the system that you're trying to create?
Okay, somehow ऑस्ट्रेलिया से आवाज कट रही है मुझे, दोबारा से क्वेश्चन करें।
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि being Muslims, how can we convince people to come to the system जो ये सारा है? Because जब हम शेयर करते हैं तो लोग जो होते हैं they're very skeptical or they're not very convinced towards coming towards this.
Well, for starters, they will be convinced if you use your natural, organic confusion to them. Don't just try and erase their confusions. Take your confusions to them as well. You just need to be very clear and crisp about your purpose. IMS, the Islamic messaging system, should be only one line clarity that, we want to ensure that the Quran is the finest technology that ever came in. Literally, these very words. And
Right.
if you do not see this as a book, the finest book of the finest technology of any and every field that human beings would require, not every field. Okay, most of the technology that we're using right now, not even required. It's a luxury. It's not a necessity. And even if it is a luxury, I don't really criticize it for being a luxury. It's not really, catering to the bigger problems that most human beings are suffering from. And that's where I'm not just talking about, the behavior of human beings in general. I'm talking about the cognitive faculty. I'm talking about the sciences, and I'm talking about the actual engineering of not just things that are going to cater to human beings right now, but the need of human beings in the future. I'm talking about the universe here. I'm talking about civilizations which are going to conquer their stars, civilizations which are going to conquer their solar systems. And I'm talking about big things here, and I want you to understand how magnificent this concept is, because Quran is actually abundantly fertile for this sort of cognition, this sort of approach by all human beings, so that we can actually dig deeper and find more and richer resources from the Quran, literally. Now, why am I keep on using these words and terminologies about the Quran, which were never used before? Why? Because I've seen them. I've seen them. I'm actually experiencing them right now. And unless we look at it from this lens, we're not going to see anything. But if you look at it from this lens, you're going to find so much that even though seeing them, I'm not still and never ever going to be qualified to get all of it. You know what I'm saying? So you need to use the words which are relevant to the audience. If you're not using the words which are relevant to the audience, and try and break it down as much as I am trying, and even more, it doesn't matter what an IMS stands for or what you want to do, unless you can actually, eloquently describe it. So that's why we're actually planning communication skills workshops for our core IMS teams and team leaders. And it's going to take a little while because there's thousands of people who've joined in, thousands, literally thousands of people, alhamdulillah. So we need to talk to everybody. Now, there is no way to talk to everybody unless, of course, everybody comes on a certain platform. And I am still getting problems in getting the people who are currently in IMS to come into a single platform. Clubhouse is not working in certain cell phones and banned in certain countries. So, Telegram is banned in my own country. So I can't get Telegram in. So there's certain limitations are always going to be there, and which is okay. We never expected ideal scenario anyway. But I just want people to know that IMS first task is to clarify your purpose. Your clear vision is going to enable other people to come in. If you're not clear on your vision and your purpose, then it doesn't matter how eloquent you are, what kind of communication skills you have, you're going to actually push people away because you'll be actually doing some other vision, some justice, some benefit, not this one. Okay.
That's very true.
So,
That's very true. Often hota yahi hai ke the point that I'm trying to get across doesn't go through the way I want people to understand it or be inspired by it. Jaise history hai, Islamic history hai, hamare sahaba ki life story hai, seerah of the prophet hai. People are not motivated enough the way I'm trying to convince them for it. So उनके already preconceived notions हैं, उनके पहले से dogmas attached हैं, उनके पहले से उस environment के साथ connection है जहाँ वो जिसमें वो पले बड़े हैं. So to break them free from all that requires a lot of effort. Even in my own home, if I see कि मुझे अगर एक movement run करनी है, so it requires a lot of effort and thinking on my part कि how to approach it in a way that it becomes attractive for everyone.
you connect the problems with the solutions. That's it. So unless you know the problems, you're not going to look for the solutions. And I don't expect anybody in IMS to be equipped with all the solutions. It's okay if you're not. Just become a channel, become a vessel. Tell us, and you're going to get the solutions in. Even I don't have all the solutions. I want to talk to experts to get solutions. But if you do not know the problems and you're not asking the right questions so that people can tell you what the problems are, then it doesn't matter whether you're in IMS or SMI. You're going to fail that mission anyway because you're a repellent, people repellent. So just try and be more empathetic and be a lot more easy in communicating the fact that you're here only to get the best answers. There's a tank of thousands of people who are trying to come up with solutions, and if you cannot find it from here, then we don't deserve to run any kind of purpose mission. You know what I'm saying? And we're not arrogant enough to say that.
No.
We're going to have every answer to every question, but we're going to try our best to answer whatever we can in the shortest possible span of time, because there's so many people in the same platform. We're going to be actually creating more libraries than anything else. So most of the questions I know, which people are suffering from, there are so many answers, so many eloquent, attractive answers, which are rhyming, which are not only from the Quran, but if they're not from the Quran, they're rhyming with the Quran. So we can actually, just connect the dots here. That's it. Okay.
Thank you.
Just try and be more humane, and girls naturally are. So try and be more of a nurse to people than teacher. Okay. Don't become a teacher, become a nurse.
Yes. My natural predisposition is more like, empathy towards people, listening to what they have to say. Rather, I'm not that commanding or more assertive as much as I'd like to be, to make them understand that Islam and Quran is the right way and the Seerah is the guidance towards it. So, yeah.
Yeah, just don't get any cliches into it. Okay. Otherwise, you're in the right path. Ji, Assalamu alaikum, tabassum. Assalamu alaikum, tabassum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Ji, tabassum. You have a question?
Sir, मैंने hand raise किया था.
जी, पूछिए ना.
मैंने hand raise नहीं किया हुआ था.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I apologize. I'm just looking for countries. That's it. Let's just go to India. India. Okay. Canada. Madiha.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर, मेरा क्वेश्चन सूफीज्म के बारे में कर लूं?
I don't know what the question is. तो करेंगी तो पता चलेगा जी.
ओके, सर आप बिलीव करते हैं सूफीज्म पे, और अगर करते हैं तो इसकी क्या लिमिट्स होती हैं कि उसके बाद गुमराही शुरू हो जाती है? क्योंकि पाकिस्तान में जिस तरह से सूफीज्म पे बिलीव किया जाता है, तो मतलब मोस्टली गुमराहकुन ही अकायद नजर आते हैं. तो क्या
Yeah, well,
बॉर्डर
that's
क्या है इस पे?
because
बॉर्डर
everybody
लाइन
drives a
क्या है?
car bad doesn't make the car bad. The drivers, if 10 people drive the same car poorly, that doesn't make the car poorly made. Okay. So just because आप tasawwuf में people are not practicing it in general the way it's supposed to be practiced, anything, not just tasawwuf. आपका जो आर्ग्यूमेंट है ना, अगर मैं इसको थोड़ा सा खींचूं तो किसी को मुसलमान भी नहीं होना चाहिए. जिस तरीके के मुसलमान दुनिया में फिर रहे हैं, कोई भी गैर मुस्लिम मुसलमान ना हो जाए. क्या? Wouldn't that be the same argument? जी मदिया,
जी, नहीं मैं समझ नहीं सकी आपकी बात.
जो हालात हैं मुसलमानों के अखलाकियात और ईमानियात के, और जो इनके करतूत हैं हम सबके, तो किसी गैर मुस्लिम को तो ये इस्लाम के बारे में भी यही बात कर सकता है कि हाँ, इस्लाम में ना जाना, ये देखो क्या ये लोग क्या कितने जाहिल हैं, इस्लाम गलत हो गया. समझ रहे हैं ना आप?
नहीं, आई अंडरस्टैंड एंड आई बिलीव इन सूफीज्म, लेकिन जो
No, I'm not saying कि
बहुत
I
ज्यादा
believe in
गुमराही में चले
Sufism
जाते
or
हैं,
not.
उनको क्या एक बॉर्डर लाइन?
नहीं, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा आपको कि सूफीज्म ठीक है कि नहीं. मैं ये कह रहा हूँ ये आर्ग्यूमेंट ठीक नहीं है तसव्वुफ के खिलाफ. आई एम नॉट सेइंग सूफीज्म ठीक हो गया इस बात से. What you need to understand is कि just because they're दो नंबर पीर, दो नंबर सूफी, दो नंबर मुरीद, इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि तसव्वुफ गलत हो गया. तसव्वुफ गलत हो सकता है कॉन्सेप्ट ही, मगर ये आर्ग्यूमेंट बहुत गलत तरीका है किसी चीज को गलत प्रूव करने का. क्योंकि ये आर्ग्यूमेंट अगर हम इस्लाम पे लगाए ना, तो मुसलमानों की हालत देख के इस्लाम गलत हो जाएगा. सो you need to understand, when I was reading the Bible literally, and I see so many problems with whatever the Christian community is doing with their religion. Okay, religion. I cannot say, oh, Christianity galat. I have to read the Bible to see कि इनकी किताब क्या कह रही. It's a very common sense thing to do. मैंने खुद पढ़ी, मैं तौरात और इंजील को मिला के कह रहा हूँ, तो दोनों पढ़ी. हालांकि तौरात यहूदियों की मुख्तस किताब है अपनी ये. तो अब इसराइल जो कर रहा है उसको देख के हम इतनी कहते कि तौरात जो है ना ये दो नंबर किताब है. क्यों? क्योंकि इसराइल ये कुछ कर रहा है. बिल्कुल ऐसे ही आप मुसलमानों की हालत देख के कुरान पाक के ऊपर तो तनकीद नहीं करनी चाहिए. सो तसव्वुफ के ऊपर आपका जो छोटा सवाल है, मैं उसको छोटा जवाब देता हूँ. Yes, I believe in this. Yeah, there is a realm of practice that any human being can do who is conscious of whatever the problems of the world are. अगर आपको दुनिया की आपको वर्ल्ड व्यू क्लियर नहीं है तो तसव्वुफ में मत जाए बस. That's it. Okay, that's very.
और इसमें जो लोग कशफ का दावा करते हैं, तो सर कशफ के बारे में आप क्या कहते हैं?
जो कशफ को खुद करे वो उसको कशफ हो ही नहीं सकता. So that's रूल नंबर 1 तोड़ दिया उसने. ठीक है, so it's a problem. Melbourne.
Yeah, I didn't get it, sorry.
जो बंदा खुद ये बताता हो कि मेरे पे कशफ हो गया है, अब मुझे पे अल्लाह ताला के खास करम हो गया है किसी भी लेवल पे, तो ही डज नॉट नो कि तसव्वुफ क्या है फिर. ठीक है, उसके तसव्वुफ उस तक नहीं पहुंचा. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Asma. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Asma. Asma. Okay. Malik Hashim Saab. Assalamu alaikum. Ali from Scotland.
जी वालेकुम अस्सलाम सर.
जी वालेकुम.
Sir, I am 24 year old and मैं भी IMS का ही मेंबर हूँ और काफ़ी देर से मैं देख रहा हूँ वहाँ की जो अपडेट है और आपकी ये वीडियोस भी मैं काफ़ी अर्से से सुन रहा हूँ और काफ़ी देर से आपको फॉलो किया IMS तो मैंने अभी रिसेंटली ज्वाइन किया है 1 माह से. लेकिन मैं एक चीज़ देखता हूँ कि आपका जो मिशन है, जो मिशन लेके आप निकले हैं, माशाल्लाह, ठीक है? और ज़्यादातर लोगों के क्वेश्चंस ये होते हैं कि आपका वे कहाँ जा रहा है? आपका फ्यूचर क्या है? आपकी ये जो पार्टी है, आप कहाँ लेके जा रहे हैं? तो हम फ्यूचर में इसको कहाँ देख रहे हैं? मतलब किस तरह के क्वेश्चंस जो है ना, वो मुझे ऐसा लगता है जैसे उनको आप पे बिलीव नहीं है। जब एक ड्राइवर पे बिलीव ना हो ना गाड़ी के, तो फिर वो ड्राइवर से जो पीछे पैसेंजर्स होते हैं, पूछते हैं कि आप हमें कहाँ लेके जा रहे हैं? ठीक है? मैं उनमें से नहीं हूँ, मैं एक लास्ट चेयर में बैठा हुआ एक वो पैसेंजर हूँ, जो आँखें बंद करके बस सोया हुआ है और वेट कर रहा है कि कब हमारी मंज़िल आएगी और मैं उठ के पूछूँगा, जी अब क्या करना है? ठीक है? लेकिन उस दौरान बैठे हुए मुझे ये फ़ील होता है कि मुझे बैठे हुए भी कुछ ना कुछ करना चाहिए, ठीक है? और IMS के अंदर भी मोस्टली ज़्यादातर लोगों के क्वेश्चंस आपस के अंदर यही होते हैं कि मेरा ये मसला हो गया, मैं बताओ क्या करूँ? फलाने का ये मसला हो गया। मतलब कि एक इंजर फ़ौज की टीम लगती है मुझे, जिसका बाज़ू नहीं है, वो आके अपने बाज़ू के दुःख सुना रहा है। किसी का कान कटा हुआ, अपने कान के दुःख सुना रहा है, ठीक है? और कोई किसी को अगर लेके आता है, तो वो बोलता है कि मैं इसको कैसे लेके आऊँ बताओ, मुझे ये अंदर नहीं आ रहा गाड़ी में। इस तरह की ना एक सिचुएशन सी मैं उसमें ना कुछ परेशान सा हो जाता हूँ कि यार ये आखिर ये बस के अंदर हमारी एक बस है ना ये जिसको जिसको हम लेके चल रहे हैं। तो कब ये आखिर ये हल्ला अंदर कम होगा? कब हम लोग सुकून से बैठेंगे और एक विज़न की तरफ चुप करके तब बस देखेंगे कि ये किधर जा रहा है? तो इसके बारे में थोड़ी-सी रहनुमाई फरमा दें मुझे।
भी तो या ज्यादा बंदे इकट्ठे होते हैं ना, जब भी किसी भी पर्पस से, तो ये नॉर्मल फिनोमेना है कि उसमें स्टॉर्मिंग चल रही होती है, स्टॉर्मिंग हो रही है सारी, ठीक है? तो उसके लिए विजन की बार बार तरवीज, चुप करके पीछे नहीं बैठना आंखें बंद करके. यू नीड टू रीइटरेट द विजन टू एवरीवन. जिसको आप समझते आता है उसको फिर बताएं कि विजन है क्या, व्हाई आर वी इन दिस ट्रेन. जब आप सबको बता रहे होंगे तो आप इसको बता रहे होंगे, उसके अलावा भी बाकी लोगों को समझ आ रही होगी. और सबसे ज्यादा किसको समझ आ रही होगी? आपको खुद. क्योंकि आलिम ने अबी तालिब ने कहा ना, सीखना असल में कैसे सबसे ज्यादा सीखता बंदा कब है? जब किसी और को सिखा रहा होता. सो मेक श्योर यू अंडरस्टैंड. अनलेस यू आर वेरी क्लियर अबाउट व्हाट द विजन इज, ट्रेन की मंजिल क्या है, तब तक आपने आराम से बैठना ही नहीं है. और पीछे वाली सीट पे जाके आंखें बंद करना तो कैंसर बन जाएंगे आप IMS के लिए. डोंट बी दैट. सो पीपल शुड नो व्हाट द विजन इज. हर रोज दोहराई हो रही हो, दैट्स इट. पहले 2-3 महीने तो हमने सिर्फ विजन के बारे में बात करनी है, ताकि बाद में भी करनी है, मगर उसमें फिर चीजें ऐड करते रहेंगे तो कि जो आपकी स्किल को ऊपर लेके जाए. मगर विजन बताते हैं लोगों को, सो दैट पीपल बी लाइक ओके करोगे कैसे. ना दैट्स अ गुड क्वेश्चन टू आंसर. जा किधर रहे हो? ये तो फिर उसको, वो तो गलत ट्रेन पे आ गए, उसको यही नहीं पता कि हम कहाँ जा रहे हैं. उसको तो पहले ट्रेन से बैठने से पहले बताना है ना कि कहाँ जा रही है ट्रेन, ठीक है? तो विजन, कीप रीइटरेटिंग द विजन. जब तक लोगों को विजन नहीं क्लियर, मैं आपको कैसे केस स्टडीज दूं. ऐसी ऐसी कंपनीज ने रोज अपनी कंपनी को, हजारों लोगों को रोज CEOs ने विजन की ट्रेनिंग दी रोज. कि पहला साल है, नए नए लोग आ रहे हैं, कुछ पता नहीं है कि एक अकेला बंदा भी न रह जाए रोज. सो हमें भी इस्लाम ने यही दावत दी है कि सबसे पहले विजन बताओ कि पूरी दुनिया को शहादत देनी है कि अल्लाह ताला अशहदु अल्ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाहु वहदहु ला शरीका लहू व अशहदु अन्ना मुहम्मदन अब्दुहु व रसूलुहु. ये पूरी दुनिया को गवाही देने जाना है आपने, पूरी दुनिया को, रादर देन कि अपने आप को
जी,
सेटिस्फाई करके अपने ही घोंसले में बैठे रहे. सो कैसे वो गवाही देनी है? कॉन्फिडेंटली देनी है. उसके लिए क्या दिखाएंगे? प्रॉब्लम्स. प्रॉब्लम के साथ क्या करेंगे? सोल्यूशन कहाँ से आएगा? कुरान से. पर्सपेक्टिव क्या है? कुरान और दुनिया की प्रोग्रेस को, दुनिया की प्रोग्रेस को कुरान से निकाल के बताना है, ठीक है? सो आई हैव द रन नाउ. आई एम जस्ट गोइंग टू कट दिस सेशन शॉर्ट. It was a short session. We wanted to do an hour. We did a little more, actually a lot more actually, but not a lot more, but okay. So inshallah, I'll be seeing you shortly, and make sure you understand. Unless you are clear on where you're going, no one is going to believe how you're going to take them there, or even where you're taking them. Unless you're very clear of where you're taking them, no one is going to understand nor believe how you're going to get them there. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa
Walaikum
rahmatullah
assalam.
wa barakatuh.